Okay. So now I think we're live, and hopefully you guys can actually see me decently. Let's see how we're doing here. Let's try one more time. Let's see if that's any better. Okay. It would appear that we're doing better now. Yes? Hopefully. Good. I can turn this up a little. All right. I think we're finally good here. Okay, sounds quiet. Let me turn this up a little bit. All right, is that better for volume? Okay, cool. All right, great. Well, so we can finally get started. Man, a total StreamYard fail, but hey, at least we're here. Sweet. Well, welcome everybody. Let me do this. Actually, we'll do here. Gotta do the. There we go. Little logo in the corner. Welcome everyone. Thanks for putting up a little bit of technical difficulties there. That's what we get for trying to be fancy and use StreamYard. I like being able to like highlight the comments as you guys are talking, but unfortunately StreamYard wasn't cooperating. The connection was fine, the signal was strong, but anyway, here we are. So we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way, and I'll have to force myself to talk slowly and read your questions fully as we're going through them. And we're not gonna clip this or cut this. So for those of you that are watching, coming back and watching later, you can see the live chat on the right-hand side, and you can see the questions that we're responding to the old-fashioned way, just looking at the chats as they come in. So welcome everyone back to Woodland Pools. We're excited to do another live stream. Let's jump right in. So screen share, here we go. Yeah, exactly. We literally just upgraded StreamYard, and that's when it decides to give us trouble. But hey, here we are. So first things first, let's do a couple. Oh, so what I will say is, thanks everybody that's joining. We've already got 15 people in. So those that have been kind of dealing with our technical difficulties. Oh, you know what, Jaron, what just occurred to me? What we should do is send out a new link. If you haven't already, I did not. So let me delete this. Sorry guys, bear with me for 1 second. Delete that chat. Technical difficulties. There we go. Technical difficulties. There's our new link for the stream. Sweet. Pin that. Fantastic. And then, ooh, what should probably do one last thing. So while everybody's filtering in here, why don't you guys ask any questions you have? There's definitely been a lot of stuff going on with the price action, catalyst voting. Let me know what you guys want to talk about and any specific questions that you have, and we'll do that. So we're only, we're about 11 minutes in, well, past the hour. So yeah, so say hi as you're joining. Let us know where you're joining from. I just want to finish clearing up this confusion here. So what I'm going to do is delete the stream that did not work that we just did. Here we go, June 23rd, and it lasted a few minutes. So let me delete the old one, and we are live now. I understand, permanently, delete forever. Okay, great. So we're here, we're all good. Sure, Stymie, good question. So Stymie's question, man, I used to be able to show them on the screen. That's a shame, but thanks StreamYard Bama. All right, so curious to hear about the performance of the Aspen stake pool. Let's start with that. Great question to start. So everybody say hello as you're joining. Let us know where you're joining from. One of my favorite parts personally of the live stream is seeing where people are calling in from all around the world. But let's take a look here at Stymie's question, and welcome back, Stymie. Good to have you. So, all right, so the pool's performance. This has actually been pretty cool how things have been going lately. So let's go to the epics here. So we're using, the main two that I use are Pool Tool and ADA Pools. So at a high level, we can start here and we can see on Pool Tool that we've been on a nice increase here on delegation. We see here, obviously, when we first got started, these bars here correspond to ROS performance, return on stake. And so obviously your return on stake performance corresponds to how many blocks you validated based on how many you were expected. We've talked about that in the past. If people have questions about that, let me know. Obviously here when we started out, big gaps between. As our delegation's grown, we're now getting much more regular. And what we see here is that actually what will be good for this conversation is if we look at blocks. Is that what I want to do? I always get this wrong. It's actually rewards there, and for here it's, I think it's metrics. Yeah. Okay. So these little graphs here show us at any given point what the pool is expected to get, and then how many it's actually gotten, right? Or rather, so the probability, right? So we can see here for the current epoch that we're in, we're expected to get 2.8 blocks, and so far we've gotten 3, so we're a bit above average, right? But what I wanted to show here was, and then you can see similar stats here on Pool Tool, but what I wanted to show was here on the epoch thing, here where you see these gaps where the pool didn't perform at all, that's because we actually got no blocks assigned to the pool to validate, right? And the thing is, keep in mind for everybody, for those that kind of got freaked out here when there was 0 and 0 epochs in terms of validation and therefore rewards, this whole thing is probabilistic, right? So we have a probability at any given time, and let's look at epochs 268 and 269. We have a probability at any given time. So if we look at those two epochs, we had a probability of getting 2.1 and then 2.3 blocks. But just the same way as how you roll a dice, right? A six-sided dice, you have like what, like a 13%? Am I making that up? That sounds right, or 16%, right? 60 and then 636, yeah. So you have like a 16.33 or something percent when you roll a six-sided dice to get any of the numbers, right? But then you might roll 3 ones in a row or something. That's just how probability works. That in the long run, if you were to roll it, you know, I don't know, 10,000 times, you would probably see that you'd have roughly 16% of each of those 6. So this works the same way, but at a much larger scale for block assignments. Our probability was that we were most likely to get 2.1 blocks, 2.3 blocks, and then instead we got 0 and 0. So that's a bummer. That just happens, right? And so then the thing about it is, people that were getting scared here, and we said, hey guys, this is normal. This kind of stuff happens all the time. This is just kind of how the probability side works. And we specifically were talking about this in our Telegram group. And if you're not already in the group, you should definitely join us. Here's the link to the Telegram group. I've got to say, we're up to 84 members now, and I'm continuously impressed at like how great the conversations are that have been going on in that group. A lot of really intelligent and helpful people have just been like helping each other out. It's been really, really cool. So in any case, in the group, we were talking about specifically this, about how probability is a long game, and how people that were kind of freaking out because we had 0 and 0 epoch blocks, or 0 block epochs for 268 and 269, we specifically were talking about it, saying, hey guys, don't worry, there's a probability thing, the pendulum swings both ways, and it will swing back the other direction. And sure enough, look at what happened in the epochs right after. We were expected to get 2.6 blocks, 2.6 blocks, and this one 2.8, and in all 3 we ended up getting 4 blocks instead of, so we got like significantly over. So some really nice returns on these past few epochs, over 7% here, over 7% again in 272, and in the one that we're in right now, we've only done 3 so far, but let's see here, I'm gonna pull this up. We can see on Pool Tool that we're actually slotted for 4 blocks this epoch. So a cool way that you can check is if you come to Pool Tool and you put in the pool ID, you can see the amount of blocks we're expected to get that epoch, and you can see how many we've gotten. The one thing that I'll point out for any pool, whether you're delegated to ours or any other, is that when you're looking at pool performance, the important thing is not necessarily how many blocks they got on a specific epoch, but what's more important is to look at what is the assigned performance, like how well has the pool been doing in terms of validating the blocks that they are assigned. If a pool like ours, which is steadily growing in delegation and is also consistently hitting 100% of all the blocks that it's assigned, probability will work out that you have some epochs that you're down, some epochs that you're up, and it'll just work out. So what I'm trying to pull up for you guys right now is I'm trying to see if I can give you a quick glimpse at when our next block is supposed to be. I'm looking right now. So we have this like command line interface that I can't show you because it has some like pool operating specifics. But we should expect our next block to be in almost exactly 3 hours from now. So from a probability standpoint, things have been going nicely. To offset these zeros, we've now been getting 4, 4, and we're about to get our 4th block again in about 3 hours. So yeah, so been going pretty well for the pool the past few epochs. We can see here the return on stake being 7% here. The 4 epoch trend is 4.4%, but that'll go up this next one here because we're about to get another like over 7% ROS. So, oh sweet, lots of people just joined the Telegram group. Fantastic, and welcome to all. So let's see some other comments. So really great question, Stymie. Thanks for asking that, because that's something that I'd been meaning to talk about and then just totally slipped my mind. Probability is a long game. Here at Woodland Pools, like, we're diligent to make sure we always have, we hit all of our blocks. We're always like watching to see when they're coming in. We have 24/7 monitoring anyway in the pool and lets us know if anything's going on. But Jaron and I both are like constantly, especially when blocks are coming up, just double checking to make sure everything's going well. And as of now, we've done 32 blocks. We've never missed one. We've gotten all the ones that were assigned. So knock on wood, that's not been an issue to date. Cool. So that's so sort of taking a step back. That's a good way to do to check pool performance, is a combination personally of using Pool Tool and ADA pools. So sweet, good first question. Rest in peace to John McAfee. Yeah, that like just happened, right? Gotta say, like, that guy, whether you like him or not, very up and down and crazy interesting life. There's a documentary on Hulu. It's kind of nuts about his life, but yeah, I mean, what can you say about the guy? So, all right. So, all right. Robert, hello from Kansas City. Christopher from Texas. Yes, and thank you, Robert. We passed the 3 million mark here. We're at 3.2, and actually to get so the 3 sort of pages that we use all the time, they recommend are ADA pools. They have some really good stats for like some of these probability things and stuff like that. They also show performance. It sometimes gets a little bit noisy, but you can see here the 3 main lines that I look at personally are, the blue line is the raw count of delegators themselves. We can see here that here's sort of we see here 269, right? If we look at, we had 268 and 269, right? Where the 0 and 0. And so as expected, people got spooked right after 269 when they saw those zeros, and we actually lost some delegators here and had to kind of like slowly come back. So guys, don't freak out. Everything's fine. Here's the pool size itself in raw delegation. You can see how it's grown over time. And then this red line is similar to what we were just seeing here, where on Pool Tool it shows it from a percentage standpoint. Here you can use this red line to see the actual raw number of blocks that were done at a given time. So use a combination of these two. And then if you come to pool.pm, you can see a real live feed of everything going on with the pool. Like, here is the block that we validated 16 hours ago. You can see people coming and going, buying and selling. Pretty cool. But yeah, so we're actually up to 3.2, which is really exciting. Yeah, so very good. South Africa, awesome. Lobo Gang, I was in South Africa once for only about a week. It was very pretty. Hello from Seattle, Suchi. Robert, the large live stake, the more blocks you should get, so your probability is higher to get a block. Yes, exactly. So Robert said, the larger the live stake, the more blocks you should get, so your probability is higher to get at least a block. So yes, and so the thing about it is that as a pool transitions like ours, transition from like a tiny pool to like a smaller pool to then to a medium-sized pool, certain things happen, right? The first one is your likelihood of getting blocks goes up, right? So you get more blocks. The other thing that happens is that the predictability of your returns starts sort of zeroing in more and more on that 4 to 6% range, kind of that standard 4 to 6% range. And then also the variability that you see starts to go down. So you can think of it in terms of if, in this sort of, and we talk about this a lot, by the way, in the selecting the right stake pool for you video, which I've been really bad about this in the past. So let me find that and share it. In this video, we talk about this a lot, where we talk about the difference between consistent and like lumpy returns. So here is this guy, and I'll share this here. So for Robert, this is for you here. This is selecting the right stake pool for you, lumpy versus consistent returns. So with that, what you see with smaller pools, sometimes people are drawn to smaller pools, because actually if you look here, for example, right, like when we did get a block here, the return here was 19%. When we got it here, it was like 46%, but then you have these gaps, right? So again, there's that trade-off where when you do get the payouts, they're much bigger. Then you can see that like the actual returns started going down, but they were more consistent. This is all due to the fact of what we're looking at here in the rewards section. This is due to the fact about how many blocks were you expected to get versus how many did you actually validate, and then however much you performed over or under that, however much you performed over that, you'll get like a rewards bonus. And so with smaller pools, if you think of it, like if you were supposed to get 1 block and you got 3, you've overperformed by 200%. You have a 300% performance rate, right? So you get this huge payout bonus for hitting those 3 blocks instead of the 1. But if you're expected to get 100 blocks, and you got 102, then you only overperformed by 2%, right? Versus like the 300 or the 200% overperformance. So the variability also in like your extra payouts are less. So that's where you kind of see that like smaller pools, you see a lot more of this, and the larger pools kind of converge more to like more of steady, predictable payouts. Either way, in the long run, they all average out to between that 4 and 6%. But it's just about sort of what's your preference in terms of how those returns happen, if you have like, you know, big payments at a time, or if you like it more consistent. But the point of all of this, or what Robert was getting at that's important to keep in mind, is that in terms of your variability of your payouts, it changes because of that point that I was making, where like if we're expected to get here, if we were expected to get 2 blocks and we got 0, well then it's a 0% performance. But if we were expected to get 100 blocks and we got 98, then we only underperformed by a little bit. So that's sort of how that works with consistent versus lumpy returns, the difference in the rewards payouts for larger pools versus smaller pools and stuff like that. So, but as I've said many times, as long as the pool is validating all the blocks it's assigned, which we always have, then your gaps get made up for, because again, you're shooting between 4 and 6%. Here we got zeros, but here we got 7%, and we're about to get another close to 7% here when we get our 4th block. So yeah, lots of different ways to look at it, but long-term focus, if you're just like, hey, I want to find a pool that I want to support, and thank you if you support ours, I want to find a pool that I want to support, and other than that, I want to just kind of like hang back and just let the pool and let my stake grow, then that's cool. Oh, one other thing that I will say that a lot of people seem to like overlook too is that if you don't want to work with if you don't want to delegate to a smaller pool like ours, that's totally cool. But if you are going to choose a larger pool, make sure that you pick one that's not near saturation, because if you do like a set it and forget it, and then you just kind of like don't check on it in a while, it might get oversaturated, and you might get rewards penalties. So you'll be getting like less, because even though the amount of people to split it between is going up, the total rewards flatlines after the saturation point. So you're actually getting rewards penalties there. So of course we're biased, but I would say there's a clear trend of the pool growing. So is the consistency of returns. If you want to support the channel, delegate with us, and you have no worries of hitting saturation anytime soon. You can come and check in a month or 2 and see how things are going. But yeah, good question. Chaz has rolled the dice thousands of times, and that's exactly how it works. Thanks, Chaz, for the vote of confidence. Hello from NorCal with an easy to identify name, NorCal 3056. Very good. Kelly calling in from British Columbia. Awesome. Akib, advice for a newer stake pool to gain more delegators. Yeah, so great question. So the way to think about it is, when you want to try and attract delegators to your pool, you want to think about it in terms of like, well, what value can you provide to those delegators, or what value you're providing to the broader community, right? Generally, if you are trying to attract the type of delegators that are just like purely looking for just like only just like consistent and possibly the best returns, and that's it, then you're going to want to probably have a very large investment you can make up front to make a very big pledge, like 500,000, a million ADA or more. And then that way, when you do that, then on your own, even before delegators come in, you're pretty much guaranteed to start getting some semi-consistent returns. And then, you know, the returns and the payouts can be nice and consistent and well-rounded from the start. If not, then you're gonna need to think about, well, what can I do to help sort of the broader Cardano community and ecosystem? And then from there, see if people can like identify with you and join that way. So for us, for example, our sort of proposal, right, that we say is like, hey, we have this channel. The whole idea of it is to help people grow their investments with confidence. We put out 2 different kinds of videos, and we put them out weekly. We have our tutorial videos that come out on Wednesdays, which is helping you get up and running and answering questions about how do you delegate? How do I pick an exchange? Now with stuff with like Project Catalyst, how do I register? How do I vote? How do I get a hardware wallet? Which hardware wallet do I choose? So we have videos on all of these topics. I'm happy to talk about any of them if anybody has any questions. So those are our tutorial videos. And then on Sundays, we do our weekly recaps where we go through all the stuff that happened in the past week. Now, the other thing we've started doing is on Wednesdays, instead of always releasing tutorials, now we do live streams every other week. But again, we're trying to, between weekly recaps on latest news, tutorials to help you get up and running, and live streams like this where anybody can ask any question, we say, hey, we're trying to be a positive influence on the Cardano community and help people out and help them learn and grow with confidence and then share ideas between each other in the Telegram group and build a really positive and helpful community. So that's sort of our proposal of like, hey, here's what we're trying to bring. Oh, and on top of it all, we have a consistently performing stake pool. So if you like the work that we do and you need to choose a pool anyway, we'd appreciate if you joined ours. There's other ones that you see here, like for example, ADA pools is run by the Cardanians or Cardanians. I'm not sure how you pronounce their team name, but here, Cardanians.io. And if you come here, you can check out the name of their pool and you can delegate to them, to ADA pools. Pool Tool is run by 3 different pools. Love, Pega, and Sky all work together to run Pool Tool. And here, Pool.pm is run by Smog Pool. So all these things that you see are people putting out things into the Cardano ecosystem and saying, hey, we're putting this out there. We also have this pool. If you appreciate it, please consider, delegating and joining us in that way. So the biggest thing I'd say is if you're just starting out and you want to sort of differentiate yourself, think about how you can give and help out the community. And then those that find it useful and sort of resonate with the message that your pool is putting out, then they'll, potentially delegate with you. So, yeah, so hopefully that answers that question. Stymie, glad that my long ramble on stuff earlier helped. All right. Marcio, quick question. I currently use your pool and I'll be adding more ADA, then transfer over to your Arroyo wallet. Do I have to delegate again or does it transfer automatically to the current pool? Keep it up. Thank you for the words of encouragement. Yes, so if I understood you correctly, and let me know if I misunderstood, but if I understood you correctly, you're just asking, you've already delegated, and now that you've delegated, you want to send new funds that you're purchasing to the same wallet. And once those new funds are there, you want to know if it's going to automatically delegate those new funds or if you have to do anything special. If that's your question, and the answer is no, you don't have to do anything special. The way to think about it is your wallet, basically now with Catalyst voting, right? Your wallet, basically, you can think of it as having like your ADA has like multiple dimensions on how you can view it. So one is like your ADA from like a value standpoint, like how much ADA you hold purely from the value of your ADA, and that's like your value addresses that you like send to when you're sending and receiving, right? Then you've got your staking representation, which is your staking address. Of course, it's tied to the amount of ADA that you have, but when multi-pool voting, for example, comes out, you could have multiple staking addresses tied to the same wallet, right? So it's really important to think of it as different dimensions. Right now, it's just one-to-one. But your staking address is like, okay, here's how much ADA I'm going to stake to a particular pool. And then for voting for Project Catalyst, you now have also like a voting designation, which is also tied to your ADA. But there's 3 different things that are all happening from the same wallet. And so since they're all serve separate functions, but that they're all tied together, since they're already linked, when you add new ADA to the balance of that wallet, it's automatically delegated for you. The same applies, by the way, for rewards. When rewards come in on your wallet, those rewards are automatically delegated for you as well. And we answer that question and a bunch more in our 5 most common questions. So for Marcio, here's our 5 most common staking questions. And so we go into that, this one here, we go into that and several other common confusions about getting started. But let me know if that answers your question. Okay, so Kelly, my son, a 3rd-year computer science student, is looking to set up as a stake pool operator. Do I have any advice like absolute required skills and startup costs, etc.? Yeah, great question. So in terms of, well, let me see if I can find for you. I know I have it saved. If I can't find it too quickly, then we'll move on. But let me see if I can find you real quick. There is documentation from, here we go, official Cardano documentation. Let me bring this over. All right, so Kelly, here, the Cardano docs here, I I think is what we'll want. Cardano mainnet, Cardano explained. No, I think there's something actually better than this. Let me find it. There's because well, anyway. So basically, as I'm looking through this, what you're gonna the things for your son to think about is his comfort level with operating a server. So both from server security in terms of, and also just like basics of like updates and things and how to stand up and monitor a server. Cost is kind of all across the board. From that, it could be something as simple as, I know there's a whole like ARM community, and you can look this up. It's actually really cool. Some people are running their stake pools off of like Raspberry Pis. I'm not sure exactly how they're pulling it off, but they are. And then there's some people that buy these like really heavy bare metal servers, and then they are using those. So that's a much more upfront investment. For us, we're running ours off of virtual machines on DigitalOcean. So the price is kind of all over the place, but it depends on your son's comfort level on basically like server system administration, how comfortable he is with that kind of stuff, and also what like more traditional DevOps type things. Those are all very helpful. But if he's comfortable with just like normal like software development practices and things like that, the Cardano community is super helpful and can provide really great resources. There's also, so I'm still trying to find for you, this is Cardano node official documentation. Yeah, I mean, this is probably a good place to start. Let's see, getting started here. Oh yeah, operating stake pool, operating for, yeah, okay, cool. Let's just, I think this is a good spot for him to maybe start. I haven't looked at some of these docs in such a long time. Let me, so this is for both, look, a twofer for both Kelly, right? Yeah, for Kelly and Robert. Here's a link to the Cardano documentation. Yeah, so feel free to dig into that. And that can at least give him a starting point on how to look around. But there's, like I said, a lot of really great communities. Or rather, the Cardano community is a really great community, and a lot of great resources out there to help him get up and running if he's interested. So I would say also there's also the Cardano testnet too. So if he wants to kind of just poke around and just get a comfort for it, comfort level, up and get his confidence up, he can play around in the testnet and stand up a stake pool there and see about like actually how the validation process and all of that works. So yeah, let us know how it goes, by the way. We're really curious to see. Okay, so Akib, that answer your question? Fantastic. Sweet. The wallet videos brought me here, and you've stuck around. They were great help. Thanks, Robert. Really appreciate it. And also what I'll say is, so a few things. We've had a bunch of people coming and going. We have about 30 concurrent viewers, but only 12 likes right now. If you're enjoying the live stream, please give it a thumbs up. We're going to go for about another half hour. If you think you know somebody who would appreciate the stream and has questions they might want answered, share it with them. And then also for, like what you were just saying, Robert, if the videos have helped you out and you think the channel is helpful, share it with a friend. We're over 3,300 subscribers now. We've been going on a nice steady increase in subscriptions. It's been cool to see the community organically grow. You see, we don't put out no clickbaity titles or anything. We try and just keep a level head about everything, and we want to attract people that are of a similar mindset that want to just like grow calmly with confidence. The best thing you can do if you've already delegated is share the channel. We'd really appreciate it. Okay, so another question from Kelly here. In the Arroyo wallet, the initial setup asks you to choose the Shelly era. What happens once Goguen era starts when you transfer to a new wallet? So no, good question. The reason why you had to do that was because in Byron era, that was before there was staking. When you're making the new wallet for Goguen, you should not, well, so first off, you shouldn't need to do any kind of transfer or anything. Because also, if you think about it, we're already in the Goguen era. We already had, there've been so many releases. So there was the Mary hard fork, which that was multi-asset, yeah. So Mary hard fork happened a couple of months back, and that introduced multi-asset. We did a video on that, actually way back. You can tell because the quality of our thumbnails was way worse because I was the one doing them. But here, so this one here, multi-asset era is here. This was 3 months ago, was when we had the Mary hard fork as part of the Goguen release, and nobody had to change or do anything. It just worked. So the idea is that with smart contracts, which are already on testnet going on right now, I think Alonzo Blue just finished up, and now they're going to the next one. That stuff should all just work. It's going to be an upgrade for stake pool operators, a forced upgrade because of the hard fork, but for users and delegators and those just using a wallet, there's nothing to do there. So you're good to go. Okay, cool. So that helped. That's awesome. Chaz, one that wants to be a pool operator and a pool operator showing how to do it. Yeah, Yeah, totally. That's actually, you're right, Chaz. That's a great point. So we're here running our stake pool, answering questions, and we've got a couple different people. I think with 2 or 3 different people that were asking about how to run a stake pool. So, and that's the thing is that we have like in the Telegram group, somebody was sharing a really good video by Coin Bureau, and they were like, hey, is it cool if I share it? And it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Like, look, we're trying to put out the best content that we can, and we want to help people out. But there's lots of really great channels putting out a lot of great content. So, if you find something good and you want to join our Telegram channel and you find some good information out there, please share it. The whole thing is about all of us helping each other, like learn and grow. One thing that I want to say about this whole process and the whole moving through this sort of crypto and Cardano journey, right? Something that I talk about a lot in our Telegram channel, but with doing these like fast cut edits and stuff so that there's no dead time in our prepared videos, I don't get a chance to talk about as much, but I like to bring it up during our live streams, is that we have done a bunch of research and we've been paying a lot of very close attention to Cardano over the years, but it's not like we're necessarily like Cardano core developers or anything, right? Like we're responsible stake pool operators. We educate ourselves. We try and share everything we've learned over several years of like grinding and looking and stumbling and and also learning from people way smarter than we are. And so now we're like, hey, we have some of this stuff in our mind, let's share it with you guys. But that being said, the way I think about it is like if we're all kind of on this journey from just getting started and nothing to this ideal unreachable state of everything, we're all kind of at different steps on that journey, and it's also multifaceted, right? Like there are people in our community, for example, that know a lot about like cryptography specifically, and they have like a lot of like really good strategies they've used over the years. We have like several people that used to like mine Bitcoin back in the day, right? So all of us, our experiences are kind of all over the place. So the idea is like, as we're all learning these things, let's all just share it with each other instead of other people having to discover the same thing all over again. And so our Telegram channel has been a great way for people to share that stuff. We try and do it through our videos and in that channel as well. But yeah, if people come across stuff, please share it with each other. And then similarly, if there's people out there that want to be stake pool operators and we can help in any way, please let us know. We're happy to share. This is not a competition. There is plenty for all of us to like grow across the community together. There's a lot of work still to be done. So yeah. Really, really cool stuff. I think it's awesome that people are here asking questions about how to be a stake pool operator. Okay, new guy here. How do I know my ADA is actually safe? So Gene, that is a question that has a lot of potential answers. I'll start off by saying the first way that you want to know that your coins are safe is by, if you haven't already, getting them off of the exchange. Okay, so if you bought some ADA and it's still sitting on an exchange, you want to get it off of there because of what we talk about with the not your keys, not your coins. If someone hacks that exchange, then you could potentially lose your ADA if somebody then gets access to your private keys on the exchange. This is probably the video that I recommend most to people. So in terms of like how do you know that your coins are safe? In this video here, Crypto Keys, Wallets, and Addresses Explained, we dig into the differences of like literally that, right? Like, so for your public and private keys, the addresses, and then like the wallets UI and how all of that kind of comes together. If you get your coins off the exchange and have it on your own wallet, you're now significantly more secure. You either have it in a software wallet or a hardware wallet. Now at this point, even a software wallet is much more secure than having it on the exchange because now you have full control over it. What's even more secure than that is if you put it on a hardware wallet like a Ledger or a Trezor. In this video here, we break down a comparison between the two if you want to come and check that out. But yeah, so once you have it on your own hardware wallet, then it's even safer because nobody can hack that because it is physically in your possession and nobody can get access to it unless they actually get the wallet itself. And even then they have to use a PIN to get into it. But all of that aside about the actual like keys themselves, when you're delegating to a stake pool, no matter if it's from a hardware wallet or a software wallet, when you're delegating to a stake pool, you know that your ADA is safe because your ADA doesn't actually go anywhere. We were talking a little bit earlier, you might want to rewind, about how you can think about your wallet as having multiple dimensions. And so you've got your ADA like value, the actual ADA itself that's sitting in your wallet. And then you've got like your delegation addresses and you say, hey, listen, all that stuff that you see there, delegate it to that pool. And it doesn't actually go anywhere. You just sort of like do like a virtual link and say, this pool, when it's tallying up its full, let's look here. When the pool is tallying up its size of its full delegation, hey, include my ADA with that delegation. And so you're doing sort of this like virtual link, but your ADA is not ever leaving your own wallet. So the only risk that you have when you delegate to a pool, the worst case scenario is the potential opportunity cost of like if that pool goes under or just stops performing or whatever else, then you're no longer getting rewards from that pool. But your ADA itself is never at risk. So there's multiple ways to look at that. I'm not sure which is the one that you were talking about. On the pool itself, yeah. So since you're not sending it anywhere, there's no risk to it at all. Yeah, your biggest risk is just opportunity cost. So that's why we recommend that don't try and get like overly frantic about trying to be checking on like returns in the pool like every day or like even like every epic. You might drive yourself a little bit crazy because we were talking about earlier. We're like, oh no, there was 2 zeros, and you freak out and you bounce somewhere else. And then the next like 3 epics are over 7% each. So if you do that, you're gonna drive yourself nuts. But at the same time, you probably don't want to like delegate and then just like not check in for several years because you don't know what's gonna happen. I'd recommend maybe like once a month, which is like every epics are 5 days long, and so there's 6 epics in a month. So maybe like once a month, pop in. And a good thing you could do is like slide this over to like 6. This is the epic slider here, so that when you hover over it, you can see the 6 epic trend. So here, so ours was 4.1%. Again, normal returns between 4 and 6%. You can see here, so let's say you're popping in after a month. You're like, oh, how's it been doing on a monthly basis? The 6 epic trend is 4.1%, and that's going to go up even more now with this next one that comes in. So monthly is probably a good interval to look at it, and you have no real risk of losing your ADA along the way. All right. A 5-year prediction on ADA price. I mean, who knows, right? Like, what I would say is that like stay careful about like fantastical things, saying like $500 or $1,000 or $100 or whatever else. But I mean, we were already bouncing around between $1 and $2.50 for quite a while here. So I would say in the next 5 years, a $5 to $10 ADA. Personally, just speculating about like the way market caps have moved and stuff like that seems reasonable. But it's funny, the more and more time, at least personally, that we spend in the ecosystem and the more that we learn about Cardano, I got to tell you, Charles preaches this all the time on his videos, and I feel like it's really, I'm not even kidding, it's really starting to like seep into my brain how like I actually care less and less about the Cardano price over time as I become increasingly convinced of like, I've been a fan of Cardano for a long time and we started the pool and whatever else, but like as we're doing all this research for you guys to put out these like weekly reports on everything going on, I just become increasingly convinced the like huge role that Cardano is going to play in the future. And so I kind of don't care really what the price is doing even from week to week. If you notice, we've phased out most price discussions because it's kind of irrelevant. Like if Cardano does the things it says it's going to do, it's going to impact millions of lives who are going to be using it all the time. And so that will drive price up. And so it's just, great. So in the meantime, the only reason I even look at price personally is just to buy more. So like I just started back up my dollar cost average buying plan. And so yeah, I think dollar cost average is the way to go, by the way. I think all of us that get into cryptocurrency, we start off trying to think that we're going to be these awesome traders. And then you realize that like you've just been doing a lot, but not necessarily getting more returns than if you would have just been consistently dollar cost averaging and then just like waiting a period of time, especially with ADA where you get returns on your stake, right? Safely with no risk to you. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like personally, I personally care less and less about price as time goes on. I'm curious where you guys sit on this though, like in your own journeys. Like, are you still like price obsessed, which there's nothing wrong with? Like I think a lot of us actually came to crypto, came here for the gains and then stayed for like the actual mission. Honestly, I've seen that happen so many times, and I definitely went through that journey over the past like 3 or 4 years. So yeah, I'm curious where you guys are in that. Okay. Great attitude. That's the vibe I got from your videos when I was deciding where to stake my bags. Hey, thanks, Kelly. Glad you appreciate it. And honestly, it's a very like top-down attitude. Like if you watch the full Lex Fridman interview, we did like a really long recap of it because it was a 5-hour interview. But there's a part that actually I did a full segment on, but had to cut it because the whole thing was running too long already. But Charles like specifically talks about. There was a question that someone asked him about what would constitute failure for you of Cardano? And he had like a couple of different scenarios, but one of the ones that he talked about was like that he would consider it a failure if the Cardano community became what like the Bitcoin maximalist community has become, where it's basically like, hey, this is the only thing that matters, and everything else is garbage, and only this coin, and sort of being really toxic and pushing other people out. Whereas right now it's this like super like helpful and warm community. Like if you want to be a stake pool operator, there's so many resources and so many Telegram groups. And you can interface with like the IOHK people like directly. If you want to be, if you want to develop smart contracts on Cardano, they're like actively looking for people to be Plutus pioneers. We did a recap on this here, be a Cardano pioneer. They're actively looking for people to like learn Plutus, which is based on Haskell, to write smart contracts. And like Lars, who's their education director, like sits in on these classes, publishes all the videos. So even the people that aren't in the pioneering program, all the videos are published, all the lessons are published, so you can still follow along if you'd like to. Really, really open and helpful community. Yeah, it's awesome. So that's a big part of what we really like about it, and we like to resonate that because that's our natural way to be anyway. But yeah, it's good stuff. All right. Robert, doesn't ETH have a limited supply? ADA is set in stone. So, so James is asking about the limited supply. Yeah, I'm not sure about ETH supply. I have to like do more research on it. But yes, so with ADA, there's a fixed amount. There's a cap similar to Bitcoin, and there will be more than 21 million. ADA is going to have a fixed amount as well. And with obviously with like diminishing returns, right, leading up to it. So yeah, yes. So there will be a fixed amount of ADA. There is a fixed total amount of ADA. All right, another question by Robert here. It stays in your wallet. Oh yeah, exactly. So delegation, it stays in your wallet, just allocates to the pool. They don't actually get your ADA. Yes, exactly. So thank you, Robert. Great example too about like people helping each other out just in the chat. 41 concurrent viewers, only 21 likes. Please give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying. We're gonna go for another 10 to 15 minutes. So share the video if you think you know somebody that would also enjoy following along. All right. I want the tech to take off. Think of property deeds in a blockchain, voting elections. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Like so what Robert's talking about right now is like if you think about all of the stuff that can happen, starting with the Africa special. So this video here that I recommend, if you guys haven't checked it out, we do a deep dive here on the Africa special itself and what they're rolling out in Ethiopia, where the idea is that like you have this whole nation state that's going to be using Cardano as a basis for digital identifiers for all of their students for like their academic record. But Charles has talked openly about this where it's like, well, once they already have that, now that can be expanded to so many other things as they continue their lives outside of school. It can be used for loans, as Robert was saying, it can be used for like property. I mean, really, really exciting. So if you think about like all of this stuff running on the Cardano network, then all of a sudden it's like you have millions of users that are using it and potentially leading up to like billions of users, because the goal is to like get, across all of Africa. Charles has talked about this a lot too, but the goal being to enable the continent of Africa. And then when it becomes evident that, these peer-to-peer transactions with super low fees and super high transaction time, or rather low transaction time and low fees, so the speed of it is very fast, then all of a sudden you have like your developed world is saying like, hey, well, we want to do that. Like, how come if I want to send you, even with like Venmo, right? If I want to send you some money and then you want to then take it to your account, if I send it to you, on a Thursday, it might not enter your account till Monday because banks don't work on the weekends. Like, well, but we all do, right? So yeah, like all this stuff as it sort of gets into all these different facets of life is what's going to drive this whole thing forward. And the last thing I'll say on the topic for now is that it's not about, and we talk about this here a little bit too in the Lex Friedman recap, it's not just about like how exciting it is from a technology standpoint or how many people that are already, techno nerds like ourselves, how interesting that they find it, but it's like, is it something that, people that don't even understand the technology can use? Is it something that your grandma can like use to send you, like instead of like a $10 check in the mail, she could like send you some ADA without even thinking about it. Like that's the kind of stuff, right? How like, you think about like your grandparents, they go online, maybe they check their email, they watch some videos on YouTube. They have no idea how the internet works, but it's just doing all these things for them. That is where like blockchain can get to. And that is like what Charles believes that they can pioneer first in Africa, and then the world will see and want to follow. So really, really cool stuff. Okay. All right, want to take voting elections. Okay, so Kelly, if I were to undelegate my ADA at some point, would I technically still get the rewards for the next two epochs? Since from the snapshot, yeah, exactly. So, so it depends on like if you're I'm not sure actually the mechanics of how undelegating would affect it because you're removing from the network. But what I do know for sure is that if you don't explicitly undelegate, but you basically like zero out your wallet and you just like take all of your funds and you send them to the exchange and you want to just like cash out completely, then because your wallet is still delegated and associated, then you will get your rewards will still come in from the other two epochs where your funds were part of the active stake. So just to be sure, if that's your plan, we're like, okay, it's at a level where I want to sell everything, the best thing would be send your full balance, then wait 2 to 3 more epochs to let everything else come trailing in, and then from there do your undelegation. That's probably the best way to go about it. Jay is in ADA for the long haul. Awesome. All right. Only have 2K ADA. Is it best to stake on several pools? So Jay, so you're asking about staking on several pools or just one. Currently, you can only delegate to a single pool from a single wallet. ADA Lite has an option where they have a thing called like they call it like accounts or something, but they support it. No other wallet supports it, so I wouldn't recommend it. So currently, you can only just think of it in terms of currently you can only delegate to one pool from one wallet. So that kind of makes it up for you, unless you're going to make multiple wallets. In the future, yeah, like the idea of diversification is not necessarily a bad thing. Let's say you want to support a channel like ours, but you also want to delegate to a larger pool that has more like consistent returns or whatever. Then yeah, totally. That would make sense to me for people that want to do that kind of thing. But for right now, it's one wallet, one pool. You can make additional wallets if you want to do like additional software wallets and split your funds, but then you have to like track all of that. So it's up to you. All right. G'day. Probably a silly question, but is the Arroyo wallet specifically for the ADA coin? Yeah, so Alejandro, good question. Daedalus, Arroyo, and ADA Lite are all specifically Cardano wallets. So something like Ledger or Trezor, those are hardware wallets that can support multiple currencies, but Daedalus, Arroyo, and ADA Lite are Cardano only. And then depending on the way that you're set up, if you're doing a software wallet, then Daedalus or Arroyo would generate for you your private keys, get the associated addresses, and they would do everything for you. And if you're using a Ledger or a Trezor, then you would use Daedalus, Arroyo, or ADA Lite just as the UI layer. So you think about like the keys and everything are still managed by your wallet, but you can use Daedalus, Arroyo, or ADA Lite as your UI layer to interface with those keys, so you can literally type and click and do the normal stuff you'd expect from a user interface. But those are Cardano only. And I linked it a little bit earlier, but something to help clarify this would be our video on keys, wallets, and addresses. I recommend that you check this one out because we talk about the way that the keys are generated, how they work with the wallets and different UIs, and we go through all these different scenarios about when everything's on the exchange, when you have a hardware wallet for coins like Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that you can manage in Ledger Live, and then for Cardano specifically, and how you have to use Daedalus, Arroyo, or ADA Lite as the user interface, and then the software wallet scenario for Cardano. So we go through all of those different things. So highly recommend you check out this video. I think it'll help clarify that for you. Okay, let's go for a few more minutes here. Let's see if we can go. A bunch of questions coming in, which is great. So let's try and knock out some more here. All right. Russ King also came for the gains and saved for the awesome person that is Charles Hoskinson, the vision, and the community. Yeah, totally. I think that happens more and more. Charles is the kind of guy where like he just like really eloquently states the stuff that he believes in, and he kind of like just in a way that it just really just like makes sense, you know. So that even though sometimes he says controversial things, I think that his heart is in the right place, and I think that he has the determination to get things where they need to go. So really cool. Yes, come on, gang, hit the lights. 42 concurrent viewers right now and still only 26 likes. Do me a favor, take a second, like the video if you're enjoying it. We'd really appreciate it. And I said this a little bit earlier, if you're a regular and you join us all the time and you like these live streams and tutorials and weekly recaps, please share the channel with a friend. We really appreciate it. All right, tuning in from Germany. Top rate content, keep it up. Thank you, CN, really appreciate that. Germany is on my list, have not been there yet. I'm up to, I think, 26 countries, but have not made it to Germany yet. I definitely mean to. Kelly, so you love the Lex Friedman podcast. Unreal how Charles' memory recall is instantaneous for all these complex topics. Or do you think he's talked about all these topics so much that it's muscle memory? I think it's probably both. I think he has an incredible memory, and he's somebody that is asked a lot of questions all the time that are on similar topics. But yeah, but the dude is clearly brilliant. So yeah. Okay, Jesus, hello. How long until the rewards start showing? So for that, Jesus, there's a video. We have a video for that. So you see this? So actually, I'll put this out there because I was going to say something kind of like half joking, being facetious, but actually I'm going to pivot to making a more serious statement and a call to action for you guys and gals. We have a ton of videos addressing very specific topics. And so for Jesus's question about when rewards, look at this. We have a video called When Rewards, explaining the Cardano delegation cycle. So Jesus, you should check out this video, which walks you through how the Cardano delegation cycle works, and then how sort of the snapshots and how it all works together. And a really great tool that Jaron put together on our site, woodlandpools.net. Let me pull that up. And let me actually link this for you here. Jesus, great. When rewards. There. So that one will walk you through the whole thing. But Jaron also built this awesome tool that let me show you guys here. Where if you come to tools, go to woodlandpools.net, come to tools, and go to the payout date estimator. You just select the date that you delegated. So let's say, for example, you delegated to our pool last week and you're like, hey, I delegated on the 16th. It's been a full week. Like, how come I haven't been paid yet? This will walk you through the whole thing about here's the date you delegated during this epic. At this snapshot is, this is just a snapshot to include you in the pool. Then, or rather, yeah, this is a snapshot to include you in the pool, right. At this boundary epic 274 is when you're part of the active stake. 275 is when rewards are calculated. And at the boundary of 275 and 276, if you were to have delegated on the 16th, on the 4th of July, American Independence Day, you would be getting rewards at this epic. So check out that video. Come check out our page. Plug in the date that you delegated, and you'll see when you should expect rewards. I will say, however, that this is an important caveat. If any blocks are produced by your stake pool in epic 274, which in this case, in 274, we did validate blocks, and we had, oh, actually, sorry, that's our next epic. We're slotted for 2 next epic. But if you delegated earlier, for example, and the active stake, your first active stake had been 268 or 269, then you would not have gotten rewards because we didn't get any rewards as a pool, right? So that is a caveat to keep in mind. I would recommend check out the video, come to the site, and then when you see here the date on when you're supposed to get your payouts, you can look at on Pool Tool, you can look up our pool on Pool Tool, and you can see if we had produced on that epic, and then you'll see there like what your reward should be. Okay. We're getting almost done with all these questions, which is great. So let's see what else. Frederick, glad you appreciate the channel, man. Thank you very much. Jay, thanks for the info. Follow the channel, look into your pool. Yeah, cool. Let us know how we can help. Robert, I'm telling you, our videos really do cover it all. Really constantly dropping shares in other YouTubers' feeds and comments and folks have questions. Hey, thanks, Robert. Really appreciate it. Not asking anyone to spam anyone's channel or anything like that. But yeah, like if you guys have like friends or if you're in like chat communities or whatever else and someone has a specific question, we put a lot of time into trying to break down these topics into nice digestible chunks that kind of walk you through, step, A to Z. And if you find it helpful and you see somebody that might, share a video with them. We really appreciate it. Where do we keep our ADA coins? Staking, lending, cold storage. Much thanks. First time here. Mortal Horde Warrior. That's an awesome name. Where do we keep our ADA coins? So personally, the large majority of our coins are in the pool, right? As a pledge. I do keep some of them on hardware wallets and stuff, some on software wallets, but I personally am in a weird case because we make so many videos about all these different things. Like for example, how to set up a Arroyo software wallet, how to set up a Daedalus software wallet, or how to move from Daedalus to Arroyo, like how to transport your Daedalus wallet to make a copy of it in Arroyo. And then we have stuff on like how to set up hardware wallets and all stuff. So I kind of have some ADA scattered lots of places to be able to facilitate these videos. But most of our ADA, and for most stake pool operators, I think it's a fair assumption that most of their ADA is in the pledge to the pool. For other people, I would recommend, if it's on the exchange, definitely get it off of there and get it into a software or hardware wallet. If you want to go the software wallet route, again, we have videos on Daedalus and Arroyo. If you want to go the hardware wallet route, we have a video here helping you choose between the ledger and the Trezor. And then once you've picked it, we have how do you set up your Trezor, and then we have another one on how do you set up your ledger. And then from there, you just need to check out, you need to decide what user interface you want to use, Adalite, Daedalus, or Arroyo, and we have a video for that. And actually, I'll say one more thing along those lines. We have our Getting Started playlist, which if you're brand new and you're kind of overwhelmed by this whole process, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to just view the playlist. Here we go. I always do this wrong. Getting Started playlist. Here, view full playlist. This is what you want. So for no. This is for Mortal Horde Warrior, the guy with the awesome name. Getting Started playlist. Now I keep doing this wrong. Did you like this? Nope, didn't work. All right, there we go. So there's your link. Oh, sorry. So the whole point is this will walk you through setting up your Ledger Nano X from scratch, choosing which of the 3 wallets are best for you, and then we get you set up on your Arroyo here, but you can check out our videos on how to do it with Daedalus or Adalite if you prefer, how to select the stake pool, when should rewards be expected, and then our most common staking questions. So this will really give you everything you need in a nice playlist from start to finish. Chomsky, great content. Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it. Or gal, I don't know. Chomsky, I'm assuming is like referring to Noam Chomsky, like a surname. So thank you. Yasus, we'll look into it. Another issue, delegated for about 3 weeks, didn't get anything. Then the Ledger Harvard research there. Yeah, so, okay, sorry. Delegated for a few weeks, didn't get anything. Then a Ledger hardware wallet arrived, so you sent it there. Does that mean that the cycle is reset? Yeah, so what you'll need to do is, if you've been delegating on a software wallet, then when your hardware wallet comes in, you're going to need to set up the hardware wallet and then delegate from there. It's a brand new set of coins and addresses, so your timer will restart. But in the long run, it's like a 15 to 20 day lag of something that we're all thinking of investing in for multiple years. So it'll just be a blip on the radar when you look back. Kind of anxiety inducing while you wait in the meantime, but it's, you know, nothing to worry about in the long run. All right. Charles says, great job explaining. Thank you. Glad that helped. Chomsky was finally able to get a wallet up and staking thanks to you. Oh, thanks. That makes me so happy. The whole idea of why we do this is try and help people out. So like, it genuinely makes me happy when people like reach out or they comment and they're like, hey, I was able to do this because of one of your videos. So really glad to hear it. We put a lot of time into these videos and into the tools that we put on the website. So yeah, and into the pool itself, right? But it's funny enough, it's funny to say the pool, the stake pool operation is actually the easiest part. Like doing all these videos like twice a week and the filming and the editing and the researching, that's what takes up like a ton of time. And the stake pool operation is actually, because we're both software developers, that part's actually pretty straightforward. So glad to hear that it helped. Pete, thanks for the content. It's always great to tune in and hear your thoughts and the questions brought forth by the community. Yeah, thanks, Pete. Really appreciate it. A lot of the stuff that you know, which is just sourcing all the cool stuff going on, and we try and provide it in a distilled way. But lots of really great, helpful, and intelligent people. So I will post this one more time here before we wrap up. If you would like to join a really positive and helpful community, this is for Pete and for anyone else and at all. Can I even do that? I can't. Join our Telegram group. If you want to join a really like positive and helpful community, it's always down to like share good information and help each other out. Join our Telegram group. Really cool group of folks. Yeah, it's just been great. We're up to 88 members now. Lots of really cool people. Jesus says, thanks for the info. Cool, guys. Well, we are at just over an hour. I know we started a little bit late. Let me make sure on my list here I didn't forget anything. We didn't even talk about Catalyst voting. If you guys have registered to vote and you've not voted yet, please watch our video on Project Catalyst voting and please get your vote in. This is actually a really important time in the Cardano sort of life cycle, if you will, like on the whole roadmap. This whole Project Catalyst initiative is a testing ground for self-governance in Voltaire. And so, you know, and it's an incentivized voting. So if you registered and haven't voted yet, please do. Check out our video here. We walk you through how to research the projects, how to actually vote, and all that stuff. And for those of you that were freaking out about this drop that we're seeing in price, don't panic. We're all here for the long run. What I will say as a parting thought about price is that the way I think about it, at least, because you should never be investing more than you are willing or able to lose comfortably, the lower it goes, the better discounts we all get for our long-term investment that we're planning on making on ADA anyways. So when it was up here, personally, I was doing nothing. And now that it seems like we're retracing, I've just now started back up my dollar cost average plan. And the last time I bought, I think was at like 20 cents or something. And so now I'm personally starting it back up again because it's like, yeah, I mean, like we're in this for the long run. So not in any rush to worry about any of the noise going on in the market in the meantime. Okay, last couple questions. The ultimate dingle. Discovered your video when I picked the Trezor Model T and you helped me in great detail to set it up and get me up on Adalite. Awesome. So happy to hear that. Truly happy to hear that. I hope you enjoy the Trezor. And yeah, and so I got super distracted earlier, but what I was saying was we have videos to solve most problems. If you guys can think of any problems that we have not solved yet, things that you'd like to see help with, things that you'd like to have us walk through that is a common thing that people in the Cardano ecosystem go through, let us know. We'd be happy to put a video together on it. We're always looking to try and put out helpful content that can help sort of demystify and remove some of like the fear and the mental barriers in doing these things. So if that has been helpful, thank you so much. If there's anything else we can help with, please let us know. All right, Kelly, bring us home. When the rewards are distributed, what's the mandatory 340 ADA got you? The SPO, or does it go to the ADA treasury? Okay, yeah, good question. Let me reread it slower. When the rewards are distributed, who does the mandatory 340 ADA go to? The SPO, or does it go to the treasury? So it's actually backwards. All rewards are paid from the treasury. And then the Cardano treasury, the way that it works is that it was sort of bootstrapped with an initial set of funds from IOHK, and it's augmented by network transaction fees. So the more the network is used and the more fees that are collected, the more that goes into the treasury. And as rewards are paid out, let me get out of my own face here, as rewards are paid out, then those funds come out. So the idea being that bootstrapped amount is going down every epoch that rewards are paid out. But as network adoption goes up, more fees will be captured for the more transactions. And then the idea is for that to counterbalance the drop in the rewards from the sort of initial bootstrapping of it. So all rewards come from the treasury. And then, and actually, I'll share this last video. We did another video here, and Jaron put another awesome tool to think through the fees themselves and how it all works together. So Kelly, here is that video for you on fees explained. We go through the variable fee, the fixed fee, and how it all works. But basically, when the treasury pays that out, the first thing that happens is the stake pool takes out the fixed operating cost of 340. Then from there, of everything that's left, the variable fee for the pool, which for us is only 0.5%, comes off from the remaining balance, and then everything else that's left goes to the delegators. So cool. Really, really good questions today. I think some of our best and most consecutive sort of back-to-back questions today. Really, really cool. So really appreciate it. We're going to keep these going every 2 weeks. The next one will be 2 weeks from today. If you guys had a question we didn't get to, or if you thought of something in the meantime, please join us then. Please vote in Project Catalyst if you haven't. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the live stream. And if not, then we'll see you for the recap on Sunday. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a great evening.